Welcome to Zoe Stories. I tried on her uniform. Now I'm the cheerleader captain. I never thought a single uniform could change everything about me. Ethan had always been invisible. At 19, lanky and awkward, he drifted through high school corridors like a shadow. He wore baggy hoodies, headphones constantly dangling around his neck, and an expression that said, "Please don't notice me." Friends?
Few.
Confidence? Almost none. Life, simple and unnoticed, was what he had always relied on. Until her, Alexis, the cheerleader captain. Alexis was everything Ethan was not. Vibrant, confident, magnetic. Her presence in the hallways was like a wave of sunshine, impossible to ignore. Her laughter echoed long after she passed. And now she had a plan, a mischievous glint in her eyes. It started innocently enough. Alexis cornered Ethan after school in the empty gym. "Ethan," she said sweetly, her hand on her hip. "You're coming with me. No excuses." I don't," I stammered. My voice cracked. "No buts. I need help with the cheer routine for the competition tomorrow. And you're perfect for it." "Me? I don't." "You'll wear it," she said, holding up a folded cheer uniform. Navy blue with golden trim. Short skirt.
Crop top.
"Just try it on." "For me." I froze. The thought of putting on a cheerleader uniform made my stomach knot. My face burned at the idea of anyone seeing me like that, myself included. "You'll see," she added, flashing a smile that was both kind and commanding. "It'll be fun. I promise." Reluctantly, curiosity mingled with fear. I followed her to the locker room. The air smelled faintly of perfume and gym sweat. Alexis tossed the uniform on the bench. "Try it on," she instructed, her tone a strange mixture of teasing and authority. I hesitated. My hand shook as I picked up the skirt, the fabric so small and delicate. Then I glanced at her, confident, expectant. She wanted this. I wanted to impress her, somehow. I slipped into the uniform, each piece a shock to my body. The skirt hugged my hips, the crop top clinging to my chest. I stepped in front of the mirror and froze. Who is this? The reflection staring back at me was both alien and strangely alluring. Alexis came up behind me, her hand brushing my shoulder.
See?
"You look amazing."
Pretty.
"Don't be afraid of it." I feel ridiculous," I muttered. "That's just your old self talking," she said softly. "Let her come out. You'll thank me later." I looked down at the skirt, the bow, the tight top, and then back at her. There was a strange mix of humiliation and thrill crawling over my skin. I hated that I was enjoying her praise, hated that a part of me craved her approval. "Good," she whispered, adjusting the top.
Now walk.
"Show me." I tried. Each step felt unnatural. My thighs brushed together in a way that made me self-conscious. My heels, yes, she had insisted on the white heels to complete the look, wobbled under me. My voice was higher than usual as she made me call out the cheers. Each syllable was a torture, each chant a step deeper into someone I didn't recognize. When I stumbled, she laughed softly, not cruelly, but with that same controlled dominance. "It's okay. You'll get used to it. You'll be amazing." By the end of the hour, my reflection in the mirror no longer seemed like Ethan. The boy I knew felt distant. The uniform had done more than cover me. It had transformed me. And Alexis? She looked at me like she had seen exactly what she wanted. "You're going to be my secret weapon," she whispered, a sly grin spreading across her face. "And no one, not even you, will ever forget this." Ethan has put on the cheerleader uniform for the first time. Humiliation, thrill, and a strange curiosity mix as he begins to see a new version of himself in the mirror, a version Alexis is clearly plotting to shape. The next chapter will move into the transformation phase, where Alexis begins pushing him step by step to embrace the cheerleader persona. I didn't know it yet, but every step I took in those heels was pulling me further away from who I was. The next morning, Alexis was waiting at my door, clipboard in hand, eyes sparkling with that same teasing authority. "Today is about more than the uniform," she said. "It's about becoming her, The cheerleader captain I need. I froze. Becoming her? Yes, she said, smiling. You can either resist or let it happen. But I promise you, once we start, it'll be impossible to go back. I swallowed hard. She led me to the bathroom, where the mirror loomed large, reflecting my anxious face. On the counter lay a small makeup kit: foundation, blush, mascara, eyeliner, lip gloss. I had never touched anything like it before. You'll need to know how to enhance your features, she said, guiding my hands. Start with the foundation.
Blend.
Don't just put it on. Become smooth, flawless. My fingers trembled. The brush felt heavy, alien. As I applied the foundation, I stared into the mirror, the familiar contours of my face disappearing beneath the new layer. Alexis circled behind me, whispering corrections. Blend more here. Lift your brows. Smile slightly. It changes everything. I obeyed, trying not to look at the reflection that slowly began to feel more like her version of me than Ethan. When she handed me the mascara, my hands shook so much I almost dropped it. Deep breaths, she said softly. You're doing beautifully. Just let yourself become her. Hours passed. Makeup, hairstyling, and the perfect cheer ponytail. Then came the skirt adjustment, the crop top, and finally the white heels. Each element added a layer of alienness to my body, each adjustment a tiny surrender. Good, Alexis said, stepping back. Now walk. My legs wobbled as I tried to take steps in the heels. I can't, I muttered. Yes, you can, she said firmly, guiding me.
Small steps.
Walk like the captain, confident and proud. Own every inch. I faltered, stumbled, and almost fell. She caught me, her fingers brushing my arm.
See?
You're learning. Every step is progress. Every wobble makes you stronger. By the time we reached the school gym for practice, I was exhausted, humiliated, and strangely exhilarated. Alexis lined up the team. Watch closely, she instructed. You'll lead them today. You are the captain. All eyes were on me. My heart pounded. The other cheerleaders whispered, laughing softly at first glance. My face burned. Introduce yourself, Alexis prompted. I'm Ethan, I started. Then she gave a sharp glance. You're her, she corrected. Say your name. I swallowed and forced the higher, softer voice she had taught me. I'm Emma, I whispered. The room fell silent for a heartbeat.
Emma.
My voice sounded foreign, alien in my own mouth. The team's eyes widened, not cruelly, but in recognition of the polished, confident figure standing before them. Alexis smiled, satisfied.
Good.
Now lead them. Every cheer, every motion, every chant was torture and thrill intertwined. I stumbled a few times, felt the burn of embarrassment, and yet something inside me shifted. The applause at the end of the routine wasn't for me, Ethan, anymore. It was for Emma, the cheerleader captain. Later, Alexis whispered in my ear, Do you feel it? That rush when everyone sees you as her? That's the moment you'll start forgetting Nathan. I shivered. The name felt like a memory from someone else's life. I wasn't sure if I hated it or wanted to surrender completely. Ethan has officially stepped into the cheerleader persona in front of the team. Humiliation, thrill, and budding confidence swirl inside him, and Alexis's manipulative control becomes clearer. The next chapter will push him further. Public exposure outside school and losing more of his old privileges, heightening emotional tension and internal conflict. Every step I took outside those walls made me realize I wasn't just playing a part. I was becoming someone else entirely. The next morning, Alexis knocked on my door with the same confident, gleaming look in her eyes. Today, she said, we're taking this out of the gym. It's time the world sees Emma. I froze. Outside.
Yes. Public.
You'll walk through the mall in uniform, heels, and everything. The team will follow. I'll be beside you. I shook my head. I can't.
People will see me.
They'll laugh. Alexis's smile softened but stayed commanding. That's the point. To strip away Nathan. Every stare, Every whisper will remind you that you're hers now. And maybe you like it. I wanted to protest, but something in her tone, a mix of sweetness and undeniable dominance, made my words falter. The mall was bustling. Families, teenagers, couples, all moving around in their Saturday chaos. I stepped onto the polished tiles, heels clicking nervously. My skirt brushed my thighs, making me hyper-aware of every inch of my body. The uniform felt tighter, the crop top clinging in ways that made my chest burn with embarrassment. Alexis fell into step beside me. Walk tall. Shoulders back. Smile. I tried. My face felt hot. My voice, soft from training, echoed every cheer I whispered under my breath. Passers-by glanced, some smiled, some snickered, but nothing compared to the internal storm raging inside me. A group of boys nearby laughed quietly, and my face flushed crimson. I looked at Alexis, expecting rebuke, but she only smiled.
Good.
Feel that, she whispered. The humiliation? That's your old self slipping away. I clenched my fists. Slipping away? I don't want to. But a tiny, shameful thrill ran through me. Someone had called me pretty as I adjusted my hair while walking past a shop mirror. My heart had raced in a way I couldn't deny. Later, she guided me to a cafe. Order us drinks, she instructed. And do it as her. Speak softly, smile, be graceful. My hands shook as I approached the counter. The barista raised an eyebrow at my uniform and soft voice. I felt every stare as an invisible weight pressing on my chest. But Alexis's eyes were on me, warm and commanding, and somehow that steadied me. By the time we returned to the car, sweat dampened my back, my legs ached and my cheeks burned. But something had shifted. Each humiliating glance, each whisper, each pretty girl muttered under breath had chipped away at Ethan. Emma had begun to emerge. That evening, Alexis introduced another layer of control. She confiscated my casual clothes, my hoodie, even my sneakers. No more Nathan, she said gently but firmly. Only Emma. Everything else stays here. Panic surged. I can't. You can. And you will. You already are. My reflection in the mirror caught my eye. Emma stared back at me, poised, polished, and undeniably feminine. And as I looked at her, I realized Nathan was no longer the one who would leave the room. Ethan has experienced public exposure in his cheer uniform and felt the sting of humiliation mixed with an undeniable thrill. Alexis now strips him of all remaining male privileges, leaving him fully in Emma's shoes. The next chapter will push deeper. Emotional betrayal and internal conflict escalate as he bonds with others while losing his old identity. Every smile they gave me, every compliment, made Nathan feel like a ghost fading into the background. The following week, Alexis arranged for me, Emma now, by necessity, to practice routines with the cheer team after school. The locker room smelled of perfume and body spray. The girls whispered as I entered, glancing at my uniformed form. Emma, said one of the girls, Erin, the co-captain. You're really amazing at this. I felt my cheeks flush. I try. The praise hit me in a way that both thrilled and terrified me. Ethan would never have received compliments like this. But Emma could. And the thought made me recoil. As we practiced, I stumbled through moves, my body still adjusting to high heels and tight skirts. But the girls didn't mock me. Instead, they offered guidance, tips, and encouragement. Every time someone called me pretty or complimented my skill, a confusing mixture of shame and arousal surged inside me. After practice, Alexis pulled me aside. Do you feel it? She asked. The difference? How they see you now. Not Nathan, Emma. I swallowed. Yes, but I don't know if I like it. Her hand brushed my arm. That's the conflict, darling. That's what makes the transformation real. You can't go back, not entirely. You're caught between who you were and who you're becoming. That evening, I found myself walking with a boy from the team, Ryan. He was kind, teasing, and had a gentle way of making me laugh. You've really improved, he said, nudging my shoulder lightly. Emir, I don't know, fun to be around. I froze. Fun? Emma was fun? My voice caught. Thanks. He smiled warmly. Seriously, you make everything better. A strange warmth coursed through me. Ethan would never have experienced this. And yet, part of me hated it. Part of me wanted to flee. But the part that was Emma, that part felt alive, wanted, and seen in a way I never had been. Later, alone in the mirror, I studied my reflection. High ponytail, flushed cheeks, uniform fitting perfectly. My lips glistened faintly from the gloss Alexis had applied. I pressed my hands to my face, trying to find Ethan beneath Emma. But Nathan's features were softening in my mind, becoming memories. I whispered to the reflection, I don't know who I am anymore. Alexis's voice echoed in my memory. You're becoming her. And you'll thank me later. A knock on the door startled me. Alexis entered, holding 2 cups of tea. She smiled knowingly. Feeling conflicted, she asked. I nodded, unable to speak. That's good, she said, setting the tea down. The struggle makes it permanent. You're learning more than routines. You're learning who you can be when you stop resisting. I stared at her, a mix of fear, shame, and inexplicable longing swirling inside me. She had taken control, and even as I wanted to fight it, I couldn't deny the part of me that wanted her approval, her guidance, her. Ethan is forming emotional bonds as Emma, feeling both attraction and humiliation. His old identity fades further as Alexis reinforces control, and he begins to enjoy the attention and affection meant for Emma. The next chapter will push him toward public humiliation outside school, escalating tension and internal conflict. Every pair of eyes on me reminded me how far I had fallen or risen. I wasn't sure which. Alexis had a plan. She wanted Emma, not Ethan, to step fully into her new life. That weekend, she dragged me to the busiest mall in town, heels clicking on the shiny floor, skirts swishing with each step. My heart pounded like a drum, and my stomach churned. Remember, she whispered, her hand brushing my lower back, confidence is everything. Smile. Walk tall. Be seen. I wanted to protest. Please, not here, I thought. But my voice was small, higher than I was used to, and it seemed to belong to Emma, not me. The crowd was merciless in its own way. People glanced, whispered, pointed. A mother nudged her child, saying, Look at her pretty uniform. A group of boys nearby laughed, but one whispered, She's really hot. My cheeks burned so intensely I thought they'd catch fire. Alexis stayed close, her smile calm, her eyes sharp. Feel it? The attention? Every stare, every whisper is a brushstroke painting Emma. And Nathan is fading with every step. I stumbled slightly in my heels. One of the girls from the cheer team, who had come along as backup, steadied me, laughing softly. You'll get used to it. You already look amazing. Amazing. The word echoed in my mind, mingling with shame and a strange thrill. Part of me wanted to vanish, to hide. Another part craved it. Later, Alexis guided me to a boutique inside the mall. Time for a quick makeover, she said. A little touch-up to cement the image. Sitting in the salon chair, hands trembling, I watched her expertly brush blush across my cheeks, apply mascara, and adjust my hair. Each movement was intimate, deliberate, and humiliating in ways I couldn't explain. You look stunning, she said softly, her breath warm against my ear. And remember, it's not just the uniform. It's the aura, the confidence. You are Emma. I blinked at my reflection. The girl staring back at me wasn't Ethan. She was Emma. Perfect, poised, and completely owned by Alexis. Outside, the attention intensified. Strangers smiled, boys stared. Whispers followed me everywhere. I felt exposed, violated, yet part of me reveled in it. The thrill of being seen, admired, beautiful, made my chest ache in ways I didn't fully understand. By the time we returned to Alexis's car, I was exhausted, flustered, and emotionally raw. My uniform felt like armor and a cage at the same time. You did well today, Alexis said, reaching over to squeeze my hand. Every glance, every whisper, Every shiver in those heels is part of the transformation. You're learning to be her, and liking it more than you should. I wanted to deny it, scream, cry, anything. But my lips were too dry, my voice too fragile. All I could do was nod, knowing she was right. Emma has faced the public eye in full uniform, experiencing humiliation, attention, and an emerging thrill. Nathan's identity fades further under Alexis's manipulative guidance. The next chapter will explore intimate moments of vulnerability, mirror crises, and emotional manipulation, pushing Emma toward full surrender. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the boy I used to be, nor did I fully recognize the girl I had become. That evening, Alexis led me into the dressing room at her house. The room was softly lit, mirrors lining every wall. I froze. Multiple reflections of me stared back, each one more feminine, more polished, more Emma than Ethan. Sit, Alexis instructed, gesturing to a plush chair. Tonight, we'll face her completely. I hesitated. I don't want to see myself like that. You must, she said gently but firmly. To truly become Emma, you need to face the girl in the mirror. And to let Nathan go, you have to see him fade. I sank into the chair, my knees brushing together, heels digging into the carpet. Alexis circled me like a predator studying her prey, though her touch was soft, her gaze unwavering. Look, she said, guiding my chin to the mirror. Really look. Who do you see? I swallowed. My reflection was flawless, glossy lips, flushed cheeks, long lashes, high ponytail, and the familiar cheer uniform hugging my body.
Emma.
And yet, there was a flicker of Ethan, a ghost in the eyes, a hesitation in the lips. I don't know, I whispered. I feel like I'm losing myself. That's exactly it, Alexis replied, crouching in front of me. You're not losing yourself. You're becoming more. Nathan was timid, invisible. Emma is admired, seen, powerful. And she's beautiful. Her words hit me like a hammer. Beautiful?
Me?
The idea made my chest ache and my cheeks burn. I hated that part of me that wanted to believe her. She handed me a small brush and instructed me to apply a touch of blush. Every stroke reminds you of who you can be. Don't resist. Don't think about Nathan. Be her. Be Emma. Hands trembling, I applied the blush. Each sweep across my cheeks made my reflection look more alive, more confident. And each time, a tiny, shameful thrill pulsed through me. You see? Alexis whispered, standing behind me. That girl in the mirror can do things Nathan never could. She can lead, charm, captivate. And she can enjoy it. I shivered, torn. A part of me wanted to flee, scream, run back to the boy I had been. Another part, a part one didn't want to admit, wanted her approval, her guidance, and the feeling of being seen as Emma. I don't know if I like it, I admitted, voice trembling. Alexis's hand rested on my shoulder. It's okay to feel that way. The conflict is natural. The shame, the thrill, the excitement. It's all part of the transformation. And soon, the old self will be a memory, a shadow, and you'll finally be free to be her without fear. I stared at my reflection, eyes wide. Ethan's features seemed to blur with Emma's, a strange hybrid of boy and girl staring back at me. My lips parted in a silent gasp, and for the first time, I felt both terrified and exhilarated. Emma faces her reflection fully, confronting the fading identity of Nathan while Alexis deepens her psychological hold. The next chapter will escalate emotional manipulation and intimate control, forcing Emma to confront vulnerability in front of Alexis and others. Every word she said felt like a command etched into my soul. I wanted to resist, but every fiber of me obeyed. The next afternoon, Alexis invited me over under the pretense of advanced cheerleader coaching. When I arrived, the room was softly lit, mirrors strategically placed, and music faintly playing in the background. The air smelled of her perfume and something else, anticipation, control. Today, she said, eyes locking onto mine, we're going to refine every detail. Posture, voice, expressions, everything. You'll learn to be irresistible, graceful, and obedient. My stomach twisted. I don't know if I can. You can, she interrupted softly, yet every syllable carried authority.
And you will.
I'm not asking. I'm showing you. And you'll thank me. She guided me to a standing mirror. Look at yourself, she said.
See, Emma.
Every curve, every detail, every movement is part of her. And remember, Nathan no longer exists here. You are hers. I shivered. The words felt like chains. Nathan's identity flickered, weak, nearly erased. Emma's image stared back, polished, soft, undeniably feminine. My body reacted, my cheeks flushed, and a strange thrill coursed through me. I hated myself for it. Now, Alexis continued, moving behind me. Walk for me. Small steps, heels clicking, shoulders back. Speak softly. Own the room. Every step I took made me feel exposed, hyper-aware of every inch of my body. The skirt brushed my thighs, the crop top hugged me tightly, and the heels wobbled under my weight. I faltered, and she caught me, hands lingering on my waist. Perfect, she whispered. Even your mistakes are beautiful. That's Emma. She learns, she grows, and she captivates. Then came the verbal lessons. Say this, she instructed, handing me a scripted introduction for the cheer team. I'm Emma, the captain. I'm proud, confident, and beautiful. I stammered, my voice trembling. But she guided my tongue, adjusting the pitch, the tone, the cadence. Each word, each correction, made Nathan fade a little more. I hated the dependency I felt, and yet a part of me craved it. Later, she leaned close. The key is vulnerability, she murmured. You must let me see every fear, every doubt, every desire. Only then can Emma fully emerge. She made me confess, aloud. All my insecurities, my shame at dressing as a girl, my fear of being exposed. Every admission made my chest ache, every word a surrender. And then she praised me. Beautiful, she whispered. So honest, so open. You are truly hers. I wanted to pull away, scream, and run back to Nathan. But her touch, her words, the intoxicating mix of dominance and care, held me in place. By the end of the session, I was exhausted, emotionally raw, and completely under her control. Nathan's voice was faint, a whisper in the back of my mind, while Emma stood fully formed in the mirror, trembling, flushed, and disturbingly alive. Emma has been emotionally stripped bare in front of Alexis, her old self further fading, and her dependence on Alexis's approval intensifying. The next chapter will explore public performance, peer acknowledgement, and the deepening thrill of attention, pushing Emma toward complete transformation. The text message from Alexis arrived like a pulse of electricity through my phone. Come to my place after school. Wear what you wore yesterday. We're moving on to the next phase. I stared at it until the letters blurred. Next phase. The words felt like a threat and a promise all at once. My hands shook as I typed back a weak okay. Walking to her apartment, the autumn sky was overcast, the air damp with the smell of wet leaves. I tried to convince myself I could still stop this. I could just not show up. But every step carried me closer, like gravity. I didn't even know why I was obeying her anymore. Fear, shame, curiosity, or something darker. Her door opened before I knocked. She stood there in black leggings and an oversized cheer hoodie, hair in a messy bun, looking almost casual. But her eyes were sharp and bright, like a cat's at night. You're late, she said softly. Come in. Inside, the living room had been transformed. Lamps were dimmed, candles flickered on shelves. A portable speaker played a slow, bass-heavy track. 3 mirrors, full length, had been set up against the wall at different angles, forming a triangle that reflected me endlessly. The smell of her perfume hung in the air, floral and slightly intoxicating. This, I whispered. What is this? Your training ground, Alexis said. She walked a slow circle around me, fingertips grazing the back of the sofa, the wall, the air itself. Today you stop pretending. Today you become. I swallowed hard. I'm not sure Sure. She pressed a manicured finger to my lips. The gesture was tender, but the look in her eyes was absolute command. We're going to refine everything. Posture, voice, expressions. Emma needs to walk, talk, breathe confidence. You're almost there. You just need to let go of Nathan. Her words landed like stones in my stomach. I'm not sure I'm ready to let go of. You already have, she said simply. Look. She spun me toward the center mirror. The reflection staring back at me was a girl, skirt brushing her thighs, hair styled into loose waves, eyeliner faint but precise. My pulse thudded in my ears. She adjusted a strand of hair at my temple, and for a second the reflection felt like a stranger I was standing inside. See, Emma? Alexis whispered. Every curve, every detail, every movement is part of her. And remember, Nathan no longer exists here. Emma is real. She's standing in front of me right now. The words slithered into my brain. A part of me wanted to scream no, I'm Nathan, but another part trembled with a strange, guilty thrill. My cheeks burned. Walk, she said. What? Walk for me. Small steps, shoulders back, hips loose. Heels clicking, voice soft. Own the room. I hesitated, then obeyed. The skirt swished against my thighs. The top hugged my chest. The heels wobbled under me. My ankles trembled, my palms sweaty. Each step felt like stepping deeper into a pool of someone else's life. I stumbled. She caught me by the waist, steadying me. Her hands lingered there just a second too long. Perfect, she murmured, lips almost brushing my ear. Even your mistakes are beautiful. That's Emma. She learns, she grows, she captivates. I bit my lip, trying to hide how her voice made my stomach flip. Now, she said, say this. She handed me a scripted line. Say it like you mean it. I'm Emma, the captain. I'm proud, confident, and beautiful. I stared at the words. I can't. You can, she said. And you will. Say it. My voice cracked. I'm Emma, the captain. Again, she said softly. Lower pitch. Slower. I'm Emma, the captain. I'm proud, confident, and beautiful. Again. I'm Emma, the captain. I'm proud, confident, and beautiful. The repetition was like a spell. By the third time, I almost believed it. My heart pounded. Good girl, she whispered. The phrase jolted through me like lightning. Good girl. My knees nearly buckled. I hated how it felt, hated and wanted it at the same time. She moved behind me, hands on my shoulders, looking at me through the mirror. The key is vulnerability, she murmured. You must let me see every fear, every doubt, every desire. Only then can Emma fully emerge. My throat tightened. I don't know if I can. Yes, you can, she said, tightening her grip. Tell me your fears. One by one, she coaxed them out of me. My fear of being exposed. My shame at liking parts of it. My terror that Nathan was disappearing. Every admission felt like tearing off another layer of armor. My chest ached. My eyes stung. When I finally whispered, I'm scared I'll never get Nathan back, she leaned close and said, Shoo, Nathan was a mask. Emma is the truth. Her words cracked something inside me. Tears welled up. I hated that I was crying in front of her. Beautiful, she said softly. So honest. So open. This is what I wanted. This is Emma. I turned, wanting to push her away, but her hands caught mine. For a long second, neither of us moved. I felt my heartbeat against her palms. She smiled, not kindly, but like an artist admiring her work. By the time she let me go, I was trembling. My makeup was smudged, my voice hoarse, my head light. In the mirror, Emma stared back, eyes red but bright, lips parted, shoulders squared. Nathan's presence was a faint whisper in the background. I think that's enough for today, Alexis said, as if we'd just finished a casual workout. She tucked a strand of my hair behind my ear. Next time, we go public. The world is going to meet the real you. Her words felt like a promise and a threat rolled together. My stomach turned, but somewhere deep inside, a spark of anticipation flickered. I left her apartment shaken, mascara smudges drying on my cheeks, heart still racing. The smell of her perfume clung to my clothes like a claim. In the reflection of a shop window on the street, Emma stared back at me, fragile, frightened, but undeniably real. And for the first time, I wasn't sure I wanted to disappear. Alexis has stripped Nathan emotionally bare and planted the idea of a public debut. Chapter 8 will move Emma into the public performance phase. First time in full view. First time being addressed as captain. First time a boy notices her. The gym was full of voices, and all of them seemed to echo inside me. Every eye felt like a spotlight, and I didn't know if I was going to faint or fly. The day Alexis had hinted at arrived faster than I expected. She texted me in the morning. Bring the uniform. Meet me in the locker room before practice. No excuses. I spent half the school day in a fog. The uniform was hidden in my backpack, pleated skirt, top with the school's logo, white sneakers, and those terrible yet exhilarating white socks that came up to mid-calf. I tried not to think about it. Tried not to imagine slipping it on in the echo of the locker room, where anyone could walk in. When the final bell rang, I almost bolted home. Almost. But something kept me walking down the hall toward the gym. My legs felt like lead. Alexis was waiting. Arms crossed, ponytail swishing like a whip. You're late again, she said, though her smile told me she liked watching me squirm. I don't think I can, I started. You can, Emma, she cut me off. And you will. The squad needs their captain. Now change. The locker room smelled of deodorant and old wood polish. My hands shook as I unzipped my bag. Every second felt like a chance for disaster, for someone to walk in and see me halfway between boy and girl. Do you want me to help? Alexis asked slyly, leaning against the lockers. I can do it, I muttered, pulling the skirt up over my thighs. My face was burning. When I stepped out in full uniform, she clapped her hands once. Perfect. Now the real test begins. The gym wasn't empty. The squad was already gathered. Chatter filled the air, light, careless, and sharp as glass. Girls adjusting bows in their hair, fixing shoelaces, laughing over private jokes. My breath caught. I can't. I'll be exposed. They'll laugh. They'll know. But Alexis's hand pressed lightly against my back. Head high, shoulders back, she whispered. You're Emma, the captain. Own them. I walked in, every squeak of my sneakers on the polished floor echoing in my skull. Conversations paused. Heads turned. For a frozen heartbeat, the gym went silent. My lungs locked. Then one girl whispered, Wow, is that Emma? Another giggled. She looks amazing. The words hit me like a slap and a caress at once. Heat rushed to my face. A knot of shame twisted in my stomach, but underneath it, something bloomed. A dangerous, dizzying thrill. Alexis stepped forward, all authority. Squad, she announced. Meet your new captain, Emma. I almost choked on my own name, but the squad cheered, clapped, and circled around me. Compliments. So cute. Those legs. You're totally made for this. Fell like confetti, burying Nathan deeper, pulling Emma to the surface. I laughed weakly, my voice higher than usual. And for a terrifying moment, I realized I liked it. I liked their approval, their smiles, the way they looked at me like I belonged. Underscore 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 underscore. The practice itself was a blur of movement and commands. Alexis barked out drills, but she pushed me to lead. Voice up, she ordered. Say it like you own them. I called counts, clapped rhythm, tried to mimic confidence. My skirt flipped with every jump. My ponytail bounced. The mirrors on the wall threw Emma back at me again and again, and each reflection looked less like a costume and more like a role I couldn't escape. The squad followed my lead. They listened. They smiled at me. By the time practice ended, I was sweating, trembling, but still upright. And when one of the girls patted my shoulder and said, "Good job, Captain," my heart nearly exploded. Then it happened. As we left the gym, a group of basketball players passed by. One of them, tall, broad-shouldered, with a smirk that could melt steel, slowed his walk. His eyes locked on me. "New captain?" he asked Alexis, though his gaze never left mine. "Emma," she said smoothly. "She's ours now." The boy grinned, tilting his head. "Nice to meet you, Emma." The way he said my name made my knees weak. My stomach twisted into a knot of shame, and something else I didn't want to name. I mumbled something, I don't even know what. My voice cracked, and the squad giggled. Alexis leaned close to me, her breath tickling my ear.
"See?
Even they believe it. Emma's real, and she's catching eyes." That night, lying in bed, I replayed every moment. The cheers, the praise, the boys' grin. I buried my face in my pillow, groaning. This isn't me. I'm not Emma. I can't be. But the image in my mind wasn't Nathan. It was the girl in the uniform, cheeks flushed, hair tied back, skirt flipping mid-jump, a squad behind her chanting her name. And in the pit of my stomach, I couldn't tell if the ache was fear or longing. Emma has been introduced publicly as the new cheer captain, gaining recognition from the squad and the first spark of male attention. The next chapter will plunge her deeper into the thrill and terror of being seen, tested, and wanted. The mall's air conditioning bit into my skin, but the stairs burned hotter than fire. Every second felt like exposure, every laugh like it was meant for me. The morning started with another message from Alexis. "Meet me at the mall. Full uniform. No changes. Bring nothing else." I stared at the text in disbelief. The mall? In uniform? My stomach flipped so hard I nearly gagged. I typed back, "No. I can't. Someone will see me." Her reply came instantly. "That's the point. Emma doesn't hide. If you don't come, I'll tell the squad the truth." My hands froze. Shame clawed at me. She had me. Again. The ride there felt like a death march. I wore the uniform under an oversized hoodie, praying no one looked too closely on the bus. Every bump in the road rattled my nerves. My reflection in the bus window showed nothing but fear in my eyes. When I finally stepped into the mall, the world exploded into sound. Music from stores, chatter from shoppers, the echo of footsteps on tile. Alexis was waiting by the fountain, radiant in her own casual outfit, sipping a smoothie like this was a lazy Sunday.
"Take it off," she said.
"What?" "The hoodie. Emma doesn't wear boy armor." My chest tightened. "Alexis, please not here."
"Now."
Her eyes narrowed. "Or I'll shout your real name, so everyone can hear." The blood drained from my face. With trembling hands, I peeled the hoodie off. The cheer uniform clung to me like a spotlight, the skirt fluttering as I moved. I felt naked. Alexis grinned. "Perfect. Let's shop." Walking beside her was torture. Every laugh in the distance felt aimed at me. Every passing glance stabbed into my skin. I hugged my arms across my chest, trying to shrink, but Alexis slapped them down. "Posture," she commanded. "Back straight. You're proud. You're beautiful. Own it." "I look ridiculous," I whispered. "You look irresistible," she corrected. We passed a group of teenage girls. One of them gasped. "Oh my God, look at her uniform," she squealed. "Are you the new captain?" I froze. Words caught in my throat. Alexis jumped in smoothly. "Yes, this is Emma. She's leading the squad now." The girls giggled, eyes shining with admiration. "She's so pretty," one whispered. The words shot through me like lightning.
"Pretty."
My stomach twisted with shame, but my chest swelled, too. Then Alexis upped the cruelty. She dragged me into a cosmetics store. The smell of perfume and powder filled the air, dizzying me. "Makeover," she told the clerk cheerfully. She's got practice after, but she needs to look flawless. Before I could protest, I was seated in a tall chair. Bright lights glared down. Brushes and lipstick surrounded me. Strangers leaned in close, studying my face, touching my skin. I wanted to melt into the floor. But Alexis stood behind me, watching like a director. She needs softer brows, she told the artist. And glossy lips. Something that says, "Cheer, Captain." The clerk smiled. Of course. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Foundation smoothed my skin, eyeliner sharpened my eyes, gloss made my lips shine. When they spun me toward the mirror, I almost didn't recognize myself. A girl, a beautiful girl, stared back. My breath caught. My chest tightened. I couldn't tell if I wanted to scream or cry. Perfect, Alexis purred. Say, thank you. I whispered it, voice trembling. The clerk beamed. Good luck, Captain. You'll kill it. When we left the store, Alexis leaned close.
See?
No one laughed. They adored you. Emma is stronger than Nathan ever was. My head spun. Her words sank in like poison and honey mixed. But humiliation struck again when we passed a group of boys near the food court. One of them, the same tall basketball player from before, spotted me. He whistled. Hey, Emma, he called, grin wide. My heart nearly stopped. Heat exploded across my face. Alexis answered for me. She's busy, but she says hi. The boys laughed, but not cruelly, admiringly. And worst of all, I felt a flutter in my chest. By the time I got home, I was shaking. I locked myself in the bathroom and stared at the mirror. Emma stared back, lips glossy, eyes lined, hair tied with a bow. Nathan's face was nowhere to be found. And the terrifying part was, I wasn't sure if I wanted it back. Emma has faced her first public test, a humiliating, terrifying ordeal that also left her intoxicated by attention and validation. The next chapter will explore her emotional breakdown at home and Alexis's tightening control as Nathan's voice grows weaker. The billionaire's estate was eerily quiet that night, the grand chandeliers dimmed to golden shadows stretching across polished marble. I sat in front of the mirror, my reflection almost unrecognizable, long hair styled into glossy waves, lips painted a defiant crimson, a gown that hugged curves I still couldn't accept were mine. But beyond the paint, fabric, and illusion was a truth I couldn't keep running from. I wasn't just playing a role anymore. I had become it. I remembered his words, play well or lose everything. For weeks, he had toyed with me like a pawn in his twisted game, forcing me deeper into this identity until escape seemed impossible. Yet, tonight was different. Tonight, the stakes were higher than ever, my freedom, my future, even my sense of self. He waited in the drawing room, glass of brandy in hand, eyes sharp and calculating. You've grown into it, he said when I entered, his voice like velvet laced with steel. Not just the dress. The presence. You carry yourself as if you were born for it. I clenched my fists, fighting the quiver in my voice. This ends tonight. He smirked, unfazed. But that depends on how you play. One last gambit. Win, and you leave with your secrets, your dignity intact. Lose, and his gaze lingered, deliberate, reminding me of the transformation he had orchestrated. You stay. As you are. The silence between us thickened, every tick of the grandfather clock echoing like a countdown. I felt the weight of weeks of manipulation, the blurred line between who I had been and who I had become. But for the first time, I wasn't only afraid, I was angry. Angry at him, at myself, at the trap that had pulled me under. Fine, I said, stepping closer, the heels no longer foreign beneath me. What's the game? His smile widened, as though he'd been waiting for this moment all along. And I realized this wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about beating him at his own rules. The rules of his final gambit were simple on the surface, but rotten underneath, like everything he touched. He laid a sealed black envelope on the polished oak table between us. Inside, he said, tapping it once, is the name of someone who has already betrayed you. Someone you trust. Someone who has been working with me this whole time. My stomach lurched. The words hit harder than any disguise he'd forced onto me. Betrayal. The very thing I had clung to, that Delilah, my best friend, was on my side, helping me survive this nightmare, suddenly cracked with doubt. I wanted to tear the envelope open immediately, but his gaze pinned me in place. "Patience," he murmured, swirling his brandy as if enjoying my unraveling. "First, you must perform, just as you always have. Host my guests tonight. Smile, charm, deceive. Play the perfect lady. If you falter, the truth stays locked away, and you'll never know who's been against you." The cruelty of it burned through me. He wanted to use my paranoia as another weapon, another mask to cage me in. But I had no choice. Hours later, I found myself in the grand ballroom, chandeliers blazing, the murmur of wealthy voices weaving like a trap around me. I floated through the crowd, every step practiced, every smile sharp-edged. My heart raced with each glance, wondering, was it her? Him?
Who had whispered my secrets to him?
Who had made me his prisoner in silk and heels? Delilah appeared at my side, her hand brushing mine, steadying me. "You're trembling," she whispered. "Are you okay?" I searched her face for cracks. Her eyes were too soft, her concern too genuine. Or was that the point? My chest tightened as suspicion coiled through me. Could my only ally have been the knife in my back all along? Across the room, the billionaire watched with a predator's patience, savoring every second of my unraveling. He didn't need chains. He had something far stronger, doubt. When the night ended and the last guest drifted out, he returned to the envelope. He slid it toward me across the table, lips curling in triumph. "Now," he said softly, "do you really want to know who sold you out?" My hands shook as I reached for it, my breath shallow. Every nerve braced for the truth. And just before I tore it open, I caught Delilah's reflection in the mirror behind him, her eyes locked on the envelope, wide with something that looked too much like fear. The world tilted. Had I been living her lie all along? The black envelope felt heavier than it should, like it contained not paper but lead, or maybe my very heartbeat. My fingers hovered at the edge, trembling. One tear of the seal, and my world would either collapse or confirm the poison already spreading in my veins. Delilah's hand shot out suddenly, gripping my wrist. Her nails dug into my skin with a desperation I hadn't felt from her before. "Don't," she whispered, her voice almost breaking.
"Please.
Don't open it." That alone told me everything. The billionaire leaned back in his chair, amused, watching the performance unfold exactly as he intended. "Ah, there it is," he drawled, sipping his brandy. "The truth always shows itself, doesn't it?" I turned to Delilah, my chest heaving. "It was you." The words came out cracked, strangled. All this time, helping him? Laughing at me while I was falling apart. Her eyes brimmed with tears, but she didn't deny it. She couldn't. She just whispered, "I didn't have a choice." My knees almost gave way. The betrayal wasn't just an idea anymore. It was real, flesh and blood. The one person I thought had been my anchor had been fastening the chains tighter around me all along. The billionaire rose, circling us like a wolf. "Your sweet Delilah made a bargain. She feeds me everything, your fears, your doubts, your secrets, and in return, she gets exactly what she's always wanted." I stared at her, choking on disbelief. "And what is that?" Delilah's voice broke as she said it, almost too soft to hear. "You. Not as him. As her. I wanted the girl." The words cut deeper than any blade. I staggered back, shaking my head, the walls of the room closing in. Every makeover, every whispered reassurance, every touch that seemed like comfort, it hadn't been protection. It had been possession. The billionaire clapped slowly, savoring the unraveling. "Do you see now? You were never free. Not even with her." Delilah reached for me, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I love you," she said. "But I love you like this. Don't you understand?" He made me face what I wanted. I couldn't stop. The mirror caught me again, my face painted, my body wrapped in satin, My reflection unrecognizable. And for the first time, I didn't know if I hated Delilah or myself more. The envelope slid from my fingers to the floor, unopened, but no longer needed. The truth was already here. And it was worse than I ever imagined. The room felt colder than ice. The billionaire had slinked back into his chair, satisfied, as though the climax of his twisted opera was unfolding perfectly on cue. Delilah was on her knees, tears cutting black streaks of mascara down her cheeks, pleading silently with her eyes. And me? I was hovering at the edge of an abyss, my entire sense of self-balancing on the thinnest thread. "I can't do this anymore," I whispered, though I wasn't sure to whom I was speaking, Delilah, him, or the painted stranger staring back at me in the mirror. My reflection trembled, as if it too was afraid of what I decide. The billionaire's voice sliced through the air. "But you will. You've already done it. Look at yourself. Do you really think there's any going back? You've been paraded as the perfect girl. Your peers cheer for you. Men desire you. Women envy you. What's left of your old life? A boy no one misses?" His words clawed at me, because somewhere deep inside, I knew he was right. The boy I had been, awkward, invisible, forgettable, was already fading like a ghost. Every day in skirts, every whisper of pretty and beautiful, every humiliating act meant to crush me had instead buried him further. Delilah crawled closer, clutching my hands. "Please," she said. "I never meant to hurt you. I wanted to keep you, to love you. You're perfect this way. Don't you feel it too? Don't you feel alive as her?" Her voice cracked on the last word, and it landed heavy in my chest. Her. Not me. Her. I closed my eyes, trying to summon the boy I once was, the rough sound of my own voice, the careless way I walked, the freedom of not caring what others saw. But all that came was the memory of them all, when strangers called me gorgeous. The pageant, when applause had thundered. The boy's warm gaze on me when he whispered I was beautiful. Tears burned my eyes. "I don't know who I am anymore," I confessed. Delilah pressed her forehead against mine, trembling. "Then let me tell you. You're mine. You're hers. You're the girl who was meant to exist." The billionaire chuckled, standing. "Time's up, darling. You have two choices. Tear it all away, fight, run, claw back to a boyhood that will never love you. Or," he gestured to Delilah, to the mirror, to the satin wrapping my body. "Step fully into the life already crafted for you. Accept the role. Accept her." The air crackled with finality. My heart pounded, each beat screaming a different path. One road was pain, shame, clawing back through humiliation to reclaim a boy no one wanted. The other was surrender, to the girl in the mirror, to Delilah's desperate devotion, to a future that terrified me because it might already be mine. I opened my eyes. Delilah's tears glistened. The billionaire's smirk sharpened. The reflection waited, breathless. And with a shaking breath, I whispered my choice. The moment felt like an eternity. My lips parted, and before I could stop myself, I said it. "I'm tired of fighting. I don't even remember what fighting feels like." Delilah let out a trembling sob of relief and wrapped her arms around me. "You don't have to fight anymore," she whispered against my ear. "You're perfect." The billionaire smiled a predator smile. "Ah, so the butterfly emerges. At last." But I wasn't listening to him. I was staring at the girl in the mirror. My tears streaked her makeup, but didn't ruin it. Her eyes, my eyes, looked wide and frightened, but also somehow alive. The voice inside me whispering wrong, wrong, wrong had gone strangely quiet. Delilah guided me to stand. She lifted the satin skirt, straightened my hair, wiped my cheeks. Her hands were gentle now, reverent even, as though touching something sacred. "You're mine," she murmured. And for the first time, I didn't flinch. When we stepped out of that room into the corridor, the billionaire's staff bowed slightly. Cameras flashed. Someone handed me a bouquet of roses. Voices whispered, beautiful, as I passed. It felt like being led onto a stage, but this time, I wasn't running. This time, I stepped forward. The boy I had been was gone. But this girl was real. and she was here to stay. The moment felt like an eternity. My lips parted, but the words came out like a growl.
No.
Delilah froze. What? I said no. My voice cracked but grew louder. You don't get to tell me who I am. You don't get to trap me in your fantasy. The billionaire's smirk vanished. You're bluffing, he hissed. But I wasn't. I grabbed the envelope from the floor and hurled it at him. Papers exploded into the air, secrets spilling everywhere. You think you own me? I shouted. You don't even know me. Delilah reached for me, sobbing. Please wait. I shoved past her, satin ripping as I tore at the dress. Buttons scattered across the floor. The wig fell off, hair tumbling like a curtain. My bare feet slapped against the marble as I bolted toward the door. The billionaire roared something behind me, but I didn't stop. I crashed through the hall, ignoring the gasps, the whispers, the hands reaching out. I burst into the night air, the cold slapping me awake like a baptism. The city lights blurred through my tears, but I kept running, clutching the shreds of my old self in my fists. Every step hurt, but it was my pain now, not theirs. When I finally stumbled into the darkness of an alley, gasping, shaking, barefoot, I saw my reflection in a filthy window. Mascara streaked, dress torn, but my eyes looked like mine again. And I swore to myself, then and there, that I'd rebuild my life. That I'd never let anyone write my story for me again. 6 months later, the smell of hairspray and perfume is normal to me. The gym echoes with the squeak of sneakers and the thump of pop music. Girls chatter around me as we stretch, their ponytails bouncing in time with their laughter. I adjust the glittering bow in my hair and catch my reflection in the mirror lining the gym wall. My skirt flutters as I jump, the pom-poms in my hands a blur of silver and blue. 5, 6, 7, 8. I call out, my voice sharp and confident. They listen. They follow. I am not a visitor here anymore. I'm the captain. Sometimes at night, when the house is quiet and Delilah's asleep, I stare at myself in the bathroom mirror. I trace the curve of my cheekbone, the gloss on my lips. The boy is gone. The girl is here. And although a small part of me aches for something I can't name, another part of me whispers that maybe this is who I was meant to be all along. Delilah slips her arms around my waist and kisses the back of my neck. Ready for practice tomorrow, Captain, she teases. I smile faintly at the mirror. Always. Underscore, 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 underscore. Underscore, 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 underscore. Cloud with Rain, Epilogue 2, 6 months after escape. 6 months later, the scent of disinfectant and stale coffee fills the tiny apartment I can barely afford. The curtains are thin, the walls cracked, but it's mine. I work nights stocking shelves, my hands rough and my eyes hollow. Sometimes customers stare at me a beat too long, like they're trying to place me, a face from some magazine, some viral clip, some cheer competition. When I catch my reflection in the freezer door, I see shadows under my eyes and a patchy haircut I gave myself. The boy is back. Or at least a version of him. But when the nightmares come, the applause, the satin, Delilah's tears, I wake up clawing at my skin, unsure if I'm wearing a costume or not. Freedom came at a cost. I have it, but it's cold. And yet, as I pull on my jacket and step into the night, there's a small ember burning in my chest, the knowledge that no one is pulling my strings anymore. For now, that's enough.